Ecuador.
It's a big welcome home to the Socceroos, live on Network 10 and Paramount Plus.
Well, the Socceroos were last in Sydney 12 months ago. The team under pressure after a run of draws that left automatic World Cup qualification in peril. Japan scored twice late on that night. Graham Arnold felt the knife sharpen, and the rain that poured seemed to represent the tears of a nation on the brink of missing a finals for the first time in 2 decades. 1 year on, and how fortune has changed. Graham Arnold arrives back in the city of his birth with a 4-year contract signed and sealed. His players returning as heroes after that incredible tournament in Qatar, in which they matched the achievements of Gus Hiddink's golden generation. Tonight, a new cycle begins. Qualifying for the next World Cup resumes in November, and then there's the Asian Cup back in Qatar next January. So tonight is part celebration, part preparation, and the mood is considerably brighter. As for the opposition tonight, Ecuador performed credibly at the World Cup. They were pretty close to going through to the knockout phase themselves, and they have the CONMEBOL qualifiers coming up in September. They arrive in Australia under a new coach, Felix Sanchez, but without some key players. And it is just the second time the nations have ever met at senior level. This game in Sydney to be followed, of course, by a second game in Melbourne this coming Tuesday. Matty Ryan, the regular captain, will lead the team out. Angel Mina, the captain of Ecuador, who will be playing in predominantly navy blue tonight. And it's been a warm but not too hot day in Sydney. A clear evening. The pitch looks good despite the fact that we had a game of rugby league here last night. And the two teams set to enter the arena, both for the first time since the World Cup. And Parramatta rises as one to acclaim their unlikely Socceroos heroes. 11 magical days back in November that will go down in history. A tournament that united the nation and cemented the love for the Socceroos.
To be performed by Dara custodian and knowledge holder, Julie Jones.
I would like to begin by paying my respects to elders past and present, and acknowledge that we are gathered here tonight on beautiful unceded lands of the Barramadigal people of the Darug-speaking nations. Warami, Welabalami, Garambarak, Dia Giara Julie, Ingayingara Daragudien, Naya Nurawa, Wayangara, Biangara, Jinamagang, Yugumang, Daragi Order Yenmala, Buria, Yudangara, Gunyalungalung, Didjarigo, Yanajanawi, Bubu Ingami. Welcome, wherever you have come from, to be here with us tonight. My name is Julie. I'm a very proud salt and freshwater Darug woman. This is our country, the country of our mothers, fathers, grandmothers and grandfathers, and our ancestors that have walked this land since the creation of the very first sunrise. Thank you for being here with us tonight, strengthening our spirit and dreaming, and on behalf of the Barramadigal and wider Darug community, a very warm welcome to country.
We invite everyone who is able to now be upstanding for the national anthem of Ecuador to be performed by Mateo Polares.
Gloria a ti, gloria a ti. Tu pecho rebosa, gozo y paz ya tu pecho rebosa. Tu frente radiosa, al sol contemplamos lucir. Tu frente radiosa, más que el sol contemplamos lucir. ¡Viva Ecuador!
Please remain upstanding for the national anthem of Australia to be performed by Pararoo Matt Hearn.
Well, let's hope Matt Hearn plays for the Socceroos as well as he hit that final note. That was a terrific rendition of the national anthem, and it is a terrific stage tonight. South American opposition, as it was just a couple of months ago at the World Cup in Qatar. That night it was Argentina and Australia were oh so close to causing a huge boil over, at the very least taking the game to extra time. In the end, the team that were later crowned world champions were just a bit too good. But Australia's confidence has taken a massive boost on the back of those performances in the Gulf. And those who sit in the stands tonight, no doubt come in expectation of a victory. Ecuador, of course, may well have one or two other ideas. Well, let's have a look at the team news. Just 3 changes from the Socceroos side that lost to Argentina in Qatar, all enforced. Matt Leckie and Aaron Moy, of course, absent through injury. Riley McGree has been unwell. So it's a debut for Melbourne City's Aidan O'Neill in midfield, while Awa Mabil and Craig Goodwin are both included on the flanks. It's a double homecoming of sorts for Mitch Duke and Keanu Bacchus, both former Western Sydney Wanderers players who know this ground pretty well. Matt Ryan captains the team and wins his 80th cap. He's the only player left from the team that lost 4-3 to Ecuador in London in that only other meeting back in 2014. Our referee tonight is Kim Dae-jung from South Korea. Just the second time he's officiated an Australian international. The last time an 8-0 win over Chinese Taipei in the East Asian Cup qualifiers in 2012. Now, Ecuador's lineup showing 5 changes from the 11 that started their final game in Qatar against Senegal. Gruzo, Plata and the all-time record goal scorer Enner Valencia are all injured and haven't travelled. Moises Ramirez wins just his third cap in goal. Jose Cifuentes starts alongside Jegson Mendes in midfield. And Jeremy Sarmiento, who played for England's junior teams, is one of three Brighton players in that side. Moises Caicedo and Pervis Estupiñán, the other two. They're the team's real stars, alongside Bayer Leverkusen's defender Piero Hincapié. Here is Felix Sanchez, who was the coach of Qatar in the opening game of the World Cup against Ecuador. Now he's in charge of El Tri. The former Barcelona youth coach may have had a disappointing World Cup, but he did win the Asian Cup, of course, with Qatar in 2019. And there's Graham Arnold, who signed on until the end of the next World Cup cycle. Quite a turnaround from that defeat against Japan a year ago. And his assistant, René Mullenstein, also penned a new deal just this week. There's big Harry Sutar, who sustained that horrible injury at this stadium against Saudi Arabia a couple of years back. He is back in the team on home deck tonight. And there is one of Ecuador's danger men, Pervis Estupiñán. As Ecuador get the ball rolling, 111 days since Australia pushed eventual World Cup winners Argentina all the way at the Ahmed bin Ali Stadium. Tonight it's South American opposition again, as mentioned, as they start the journey to the next one. What do you want to see tonight from the Socceroos, Andy Harper?
Yeah, good evening, Simon, to everyone watching around the country on the 10 network. Fun, Simon. Fun. Celebrate football, the national team, the start of the new cycle, the start of some new careers. And certainly to just bask for a moment in the glory of that 2022 World Cup campaign, which just really set Australia alight. And the boys should enjoy these moments of settling in and the welcome back before they get back to the business and the fun of playing football for their country against a very, very good opponent. This will be a good game.
And they have had some fun this week, out and about with the public, some of their adoring fans. But tonight, and indeed on Tuesday in Melbourne, it's about business. And Jeremy Sarmiento has just picked up a bit of a whack on this near touchline. He's just saying to his teammates, keep the ball away from me for a moment or two, just while I deal with that. Ecuador looking like they're playing perhaps a back three tonight. That was the rumour in the Ecuadorian press. We'll see how that develops. All the way back to Moises Ramirez, who's one of the domestic-based players. Plays for one of the big clubs in that country, Independiente del Valle. A lot of these players come through the academy as they try an early speculator. Well, why not, from Michael Estrada? Because he saw that Matt Ryan was off his line and thought he'd chance his arm.
The early settler from Ecuador, who look like they're playing a back four to me, Simon, two holding midfielders.
I'll bow to your experience, Hubs.
Oh, it's just the eyes. They have it at the moment. Nice strip too, Ecuador have turned out in. It's the famous green and gold of the home team. Good turnout tonight. And Ecuador expat community is not huge, but there's some good numbers of fans cheering on the country of their heritage.
And a few Brighton fans in as well, I see.
Saw a few of the Seagull shirts, yeah.
Cheering on some of their players. Here's one of them, Jeremy Sarmiento. The ball spins up in the air for the captain, Angel Mena. And now with Angelo Preciado on the right. Mena takes over. 35 years of age now, the Ecuadorian captain. Didn't see any game time in Qatar. But in from the off and with the armband this evening. Into midfield for the exciting Moises Caicedo. Going to hear a lot about him over the next few years, linked with big money moves to Arsenal and Chelsea, and that's one of the reasons why. Completely drew two Australian midfielders towards him there and just flicked it around the corner. He is a delightful player.
He's a beautiful player, he really is. And the chance to see Australia in the opening 3.5 minutes. This is his first touch of the ball, so it's been a good start from Ecuador. A young squad brought to Australia by Felix Sanchez. Personally, Simon, going to assume I'm going to speak on your behalf as well. I'm fascinated to see how Sanchez goes in this coaching job. Basically been in the thrall of Qatar's football development for many, many years now, and win the Asian Cup, which is huge kudos, but they were appalling at the World Cup. And you just wonder quite how this deal has come to pass, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how Sanchez goes.
It's a bit loose from Matt Ryan. I can tell you that Felix Sanchez was very close to signing on with Iran to become their national team coach, and then Ecuador's interest became visible and he had a change of heart. Just to pick up on your point, bit of a slow start by Australia. Ecuador enjoying a lot of the ball in these opening minutes, which they have now through Piero Hincapié, Estupinian. Hincapié, a very clever ball-playing defender who has Champions League experience with Bayer Leverkusen. Trying to be taken by Angelo Preciado. Estrada back for Preciado, and all the way back they will go to Moises Ramirez. Looking for Sarmiento, and he's picked him out, although couldn't quite get on his head, and Degenek nipped in just for the moment. Jackson Mendes steals the ball back. Angel Mena has Preciado on the overlap. Turns back out for Mendes. Now with Felix Torres. Hincapié. Bombing forward is Estupinian down the left, and they found him. Degenek trying to stand strong, but Estupinian's through too. Jabs it back and couldn't quite pick out Moises Caicedo, his club and country teammate. Australia trying to shake the torpor out of their legs and their heads. Here's our Mobile. Bacchus. Infield to the debutant, Aidan O'Neill of Melbourne City. Big night for him in that number 6 position. Harry Suter. And Degenek. Turned back by Mobile. And Suter going for that ball over the top. Spotted that Preciado just stepped out, and Goodwin will play it into the box, and it's swept away by Felix Torres, but better from Australia.
Had to wait 6.5 minutes, but it was a really good passage of play, and very, very happy to report that the circuit breaker was that wonderful pass out of midfield from Aidan O'Neill to release Owen Mobile. It released the pressure, gave Australia some space and some territory in which to work, culminating in that brilliant crossfield switch of play. Diagonal ball hit by Harry Suter. A good settling period for Australia.
Mobile, who's struggling for game time with his current club side, or at least starts playing as he does in Czechia with Sparta Prague, featuring mainly off the bench. It's becoming a little bit of a pattern for our Mobile. Harps needs to perhaps find a place that he can call home. Here's Bacchus. That's clever from Jackson Mendes. Had a really good World Cup, although unfortunately for him missed that final game against Senegal after accruing 2 yellow cards. He was trying to ping the ball over the top of Harry Suter, which is not the easiast thing to do.
It's a great advantage that Harry's got, but he's a very good player at low and high altitude. Harry Suter, and his is particularly high altitude. The air really thins up there.
Matthew Ryan with time to clip it forward for Bacchus. Straight to Estupinian though. Estrada. Heady bang with Bacchus. And it's a free kick for Ecuador. Bacchus just thought that was a coming together of bodies.
Well, even in these early moments, people who may not have caught Ecuador in the wee hours of an Australian time zone morning during the World Cup, and mightn't be following Brighton in the Premier League in England, but they've had a wonderful opening 8.5 minutes of the cornerstone of Ecuador football. Fantastic athleticism, geez, they can move, but individual technique is so tight. There's the boys, the flock. Is that what their active fan group in Australia is called?
Couldn't tell you, but there's a few of them. Clearly cheering on their Brighton boys playing for Ecuador tonight.
The flock of seagulls not quite running away.
The free kick from Estupinha, headed away well by Jackson Irvine, and Preciado is just overrun that one. Throw in for the Socceroos. Aziz Bajic to take. Winning his 58th cap tonight, and involved in a big relegation scrap in Scotland with his club side, Dundee United.
I'm going to get in early on this discussion point, Simon, before you hit me with it. So the question for you to mull over, ruminate indeed, is Ecuador constantly in the top 4 or 5 countries in South American football, particularly over the last 2 decades.
Here's Moises Caicedo, beautiful cross. Well, it's routine in the end for Matt Ryan off the head of Jose Cifuentes, but that's another little glimpse of what Moises Caicedo can do.
No, and a little loose on the back post for Australia, a free header, which could have been way more problematic for the Socceroos.
Continue, Harps.
And you watch Ecuador players we've done time to time and enjoying now. The big question is why of that clutch of top South American countries is Mitch Duke away.
He is indeed on the right, and Goodwin's at the back post if he can find him, away by Preciado. Here's Awa Mabil, dallied a little bit too long, and there are 1 or 2 in the crowd perhaps asking for a challenge from behind, but not too vociferously, and Ecuador escaped that little raid from Australia. Goodwin, in such good form for his club, but he's taken a heavy whack there from Angel Mina.
And here's that last chance from Ecuador. A lot of space down the left-hand side for Australia. Deganek couldn't stop the turn, and what happened with Aziz Bajic there, but they completely got lost, the Socceroos. And then the Socceroos pounced back with a really good first chance. Mitch Duke's cross wasn't outstanding, and then Awa Mabil, as you called it, Simon, just a little bit slow on the uptake. Both teams with a good chance to score. My discussion point's still hanging. We will get it out.
It's indicative that the game is starting to produce chances that you've not been able to yet. Let's see if Australia can fashion another one here. Hari Sutar waiting. Goodwin's delivery, back post. It's 1-0 Australia. It's Jackson Irvine who's turned the ball home. Craig Goodwin's free kick. And Ecuador standing like statues. And Jackson Irvine is in red-hot scoring form for his club side, St. Pauli in Germany. A double at the weekend in Bundesliga 2. And the opener here tonight in Parramatta.
Well, they haven't had a lot of the ball to start the game, the Socceroos, but when they've had it, they've looked good. Mitch Duke looks like he's probably got offside there in a VAR game that might get rubbed out, but for what it's worth, it's a wicked ball in from Craig Goodwin. And haven't over the years we've been treated to watching Goodwin do this, principally for Adelaide United. Mitch Duke, onside or offside, he does brilliantly well to get that ball back and square it to Jackson Irvine, who can't miss at the moment. And Australia a goal up.
Jackson Irvine's 8th goal for his country. There is no VAR tonight, otherwise, Andy, I fancy you're right. I think that one would have been rubbed off because Mitch Duke seemed to be clearly offside, but there you go. Not in play this evening, and Australia are grateful for it.
And so just to get you thinking, and let's not take into consideration the sloppy defending there from Ecuador, but 20 years of really good national team play. in the top clutch. We know the Colombian superstars, Uruguay, Brazil, Argentina, Chile. Yet the Ecuadorian players don't seem to burst into the same big clubs, and we're watching with our own eyes just how good they are as individuals. Is there a global cultural cringe for Ecuador footballers?
Well, Antonio Valencia and Felipe Caicedo.
It's not a blanket rule. It's not a blanket rule, but...
Yeah, I'll take your point. But I think, to be honest, the fact that Ecuador did not qualify for a World Cup for the first time since until 2002...
Yeah, I did open the lens.
Speaks volumes to their modern development.
Sure. I did open the lens to the last 20 years. They've been really consistent. So tough to beat. World Cup finals performances haven't been that brilliant, and that's a big part of it. But you look at the individual players; they're wonderful. But Australia with the edge here. Good little comeback from the Socceroos.
Estupiñán's ball is a beauty. Estrada! And he was offside anyway, Michael Estrada. But again, Estupiñán with just a sublime release.
A beautiful chance. Would have been dragged back for offside. Not so this one. There's Mitch Duke, that right boot, which ends up doing such a brilliant job. That's so tough. What a great bit of work from Mitch Duke, returning to his former home ground. Of course, the Western Sydney Wanderer, before he moved back to Japan. And Jackson Irvine with an outstanding finish. Crisp, confident, effective.
And probably slightly against, certainly the early run of play, because Ecuador were well on top and they've won the ball back in a high position through Jackson Mendez. Worked out wide by Cifuentes. This is Angel Mena. I love those little combinations, but it's not quite cut off for them. And now Australia can look to break forward. Keanu Bacchus. Wide is Mobile. Degenek. Australia tried 3 right-backs at the World Cup. And Degenek ended up there. Nathaniel Atkinson and Fran Karadzic also saw game time.
Well, I think that's one part of the field that really presents opportunities for someone to burst out. Degenek got the job tonight, and he's been a very consistent performer for the Socceroos.
Cifuentes, a lovely little scoop over the top, and again Estrada has just gone a fraction too early, but goodness me, the technique of some of the Ecuadorian players is a joy to watch. Well, that has been their problem even before Felix Sanchez took charge, scoring goals. They've netted just 6 in their last 10 matches. Ender Valencia, 3 of those at the World Cup. He's not here tonight.
And a couple ruled out by VAR at the World Cup, if you recall. Which were touch-and-go situations. It happens, of course, in the world of VAR officiating.
Bacchus had 2 to deal with. Brought away by Estupiñán in the first instance. Oh, then given away casually. Irvine was trying to square the ball up for Craig Goodwin. And after a slightly sleepy start, Socceroos are back with it. Graham Arnold barking orders to Noah Mobile. Only used sparingly off the bench, Mobile, in Qatar. Rather reflective, I guess, of the fact that he's found getting minutes at club level rather tricky over the last few seasons. As has Matt Ryan, who's on the ball here, but he seems to have found a home with AZ Alkmaar in the Netherlands. Mobile. Degenek wants an option. Mitch Duke shows. That was the right idea, wasn't it? Mobile would have been away. Australia get a free kick anyway.
Yeah, late challenge on Mitch Duke. He sized that up nicely. Couldn't quite under what was obviously illegal pressure. Mitch Duke knocking the ball away nicely. Caicedo just impeding.
Sutter with the free kick. Made his big money move to the English Premier League on the back of those incredible World Cup performances alongside Kai Rolls. An unheralded tear, you'd probably say, at the start of the tournament, but they were brilliant at Terrell. That's brilliant too from Mitch Duke. And Mobile's pace will take him beyond the defender. Here's Duke trying to jab it towards goal with the outside of the foot. Craig Goodwin is first to the loose ball. He has Bajic in close attendance. Bajic being held at bay by Preciado. Now the ball will come into the box. Just got away from Keanu Bacchus. Now Ecuador will look to break. Cifuentes. Good chasing back by Eden O'Neill. That's what he's there for. Those sorts of interventions.
Well, he started excellently. In fact, you haven't even had to really look to see how he's going. He's just settled straight in. Eden O'Neill, very disciplined, very efficient. And really just a great opportunity that was created by Mitch Duke.
Jeremy Sarmiento not getting much change out of Milos Degenek.
Well, I don't know, but if there were samba drums beating when that was done, everyone would be in party mode. It was wonderful from Mitch, and then got on the end of it to get that shot in on goal. A spectacular moment that would have been. He's just built such a great career, Mitch Duke.
Scored Western Sydney Wanderers' first ever goal at this new venue. Against the Central Coast Mariners, one of his other former clubs. Now, of course, playing in second division in Japan. With Machida Zelvia. They are top of that competition. Oh, that's loose from Preciado. Duke. Not too many options. And he's given the ball away rather cheaply on that occasion. Here's Sarmiento for Ecuador. Good challenge by Bacchus. Sutter. Not enough elevation to get over the top of Preciado. Angel Mina. Preciado pushing forward on the overlap. And clever to get away, and then he was dragged down. Going to be a card this for Aziz Bajic. Friendly or no friendly?
Well, it's beautiful work by Preciado to get rid of Aziz Bajic there. And it was not much, but enough for a foul, but he could have kept his feet. And you just wonder in that situation, that the very quick calibration from the player, the calculation to bring the referee's attention to the illegality or keep the advantage going. He was in a great position.
Well, Ecuador still have a good field position. Free kick, which their captain's going to take. Angel Mina. Before all that, Sado ball towards Kim Dae-jong along with Keanu Bacchus, just to remind the pair of them that he's watching. And now we're ready. Angel Mina to drill it in low. Goodwin got his body in the way. Sarmiento to pick up the scraps. Back post, they arrive! 1-1. A terrific header. Felix Torres for Ecuador squares the ledger. The first goal of Felix Sanchez's reign, and it's 1-1 in Parramatta.
Well, he won the free kick, and here am I questioning why he didn't pursue an advantage. And maybe Preciado realised that with a couple more passes and a delivery like that from Sarmiento into the box, and Torres was just going to be unbeatable. He leapt powerfully, so powerfully, between Jackson Irvine and Miloš Degenek, after which there was no stopping that one. 1-1.
Well, Felix Torres has had a bit of a mixed bag this week. His club side, Santos Laguna in Mexico, lost 4-1 to Leon at the weekend. And the fans booed him. They reckoned he was at fault for at least a couple of the goals. And local media critics saying he's not the same player that he was in Qatar. Well, he's just answered some of those critics. And Australia a peg back. And his rate is up and running. Upfielder goes off the boot of Ramirez. Kai rolls underneath it. Backus left the return ball for Degenek just a fraction short, and Sarmiento nipped in. Estupinian. And Caicedo. Back through Hincapi. Switch never really looked on, to be honest. Those in favour, the decision of Australia. Let's go down and say good evening to Niamh Owens, who's pitchside for us.
Evening, Simon. Gorgeous conditions here pitchside, perfect for the opening game of this welcome home tour. And Graham Arnold, who has had a little break since the World Cup, he is pacing up and down that touchline. He's had some serious words with the fourth official about whether indeed that was a free kick. And it feels like there's plenty to play for, despite the friendly status of this game, Simon.
Yeah, well, Arnie might have a case about the free kick, to be fair. Felix Sanchez probably has a case about Australia's goal as well. You win some, you lose some, Harps.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, well, look, Aziz Behich was clearly beaten, and he clearly had a little bit of Preciado's shirt. So once he goes down, the referee's obliged. But it's been a good game. Really lively game, and as Niamh's identified for us, you know, there's no qualification, there's no tournament points at stake here. But Aussies playing at home always have a charge. And Ecuador with a new boss, the Ecuador players. Very young squad. There's high quality in this squad. And all looking to win the favour of the coach as their qualification process starts for the next World Cup as well.
Doubly difficult that qualification process is going to be as well for Ecuador, because they will start that process on -3 points. There was a complaint made by Chile prior to the World Cup that they fielded an ineligible player, Byron Castillo, who they claim was born in Colombia. In fact, I don't think that's actually in dispute. But Ecuador maintain he was naturalised. FIFA ultimately decided not to throw Ecuador out of the World Cup, but they have been docked 3 points as they start the next campaign. And by the way, they start against guess who? Argentina, the world champions. Very, very tough, that section. Let's have another look at the Australian goal. Craig Goodwin with the set piece. Mitch Duke, though, really had a big part to play, albeit he might have been offside. And Jackson Irvine, easy as you like.
Yeah, well, two great deliveries to determine both goals. Firstly, I mean, Craig Goodwin, we never get sick of seeing the consistency and quality of his left foot, and from set-piece situations, just remarkable. And then that from Sarmiento to Torres was a beautiful ball into the box.
Unfortunately, it doesn't look as though Jeremy Sarmiento is going to play any further part. The creator of that goal picked up a whack in the early moments of the match and fell foul of a physical challenge again. So a very brief cameo for the Brighton and Hove Albion winger. And Felix Sanchez is going to have to go to his bench for the first time as Ecuador coach. He's going to send on next break in play Alexander Alvarado. Plays for one of the local sides in Ecuador, Liga de Quito, one of the big clubs there. Estrada's offside, not for the first time tonight.
Third time. Not that I'm counting.
It's a game of fine margins, but he has just gone a fraction early again. There's the new man, Alexander Alvarado. He's actually played only 4 minutes for the national team since 2019. That was a friendly against the Cape Verde Islands last year. Just his 4th cap tonight. And pretty much a like-for-like replacement. Wide attacking player to replace Sarmiento. This is Piero Hincapi. And Stupinian. Brighton representation now just down to a duo. Club that, of course, last week won their way through to the FA Cup semi-finals in England, where they will face Manchester United at Wembley. Torres for Preciado. Caicedo. And Roll's just getting a little bit too tight on Mina. To his goalkeeper by Hincapi. Australia attempting the press, and they've stolen the ball. Mobile! A thunderbolt into the roof of the net. Ecuador having their pants pulled down as they tried to play out from the back. And Mobile said thank you very much. He might well have struggled to find a home at club level over the last year or two, but he's very much at home here in Australia, and the Socceroos lead is restored.
Well, Australia have pressed really, really well, and that's a fantastic example of it. Ecuador very comfortable and intent on playing out from the back, but Australia pounced. Excellent work from Jackson Irvine to force the error, and it's an unerring and very, very powerful finish from Mobile. He thrashes that one. Past Ramirez, inside his near post and into the roof of the net. Yeah, they've organised magnificently well, the Socceroos, defensively. From midfield forward, the press has been good and they've got their reward.
Well, what on earth were Ecuador thinking? And Australia will say, who cares? Now Mobile with his 9th goal for his country. All on the back of winning the Young Australian of the Year, of course, for 2022. Terrific finish, and Jackson Irvine adds an assist to his goal as well. And the stretch was Alvarado, fresh off the bench, of course. Australia had the throw, or do they? I think Felix Sanchez had a bit more to say. Had that throw been allowed to continue, he's still arguing the toss. Torres. One back by Mendes, but guilty of a high foot. The Ecuadorian midfielder. O'Neill. Bajic. Looking for Goodwin, who had his move forward blocked quite unceremoniously by Felix Torres. Australia continue. Mitch Duke, so clever, so good. So strong, though, by Moises Ramirez to deny him. That was brilliant by Mitch Duke. One of the World Cup heroes, of course, that goal against Tunisia, which he said this week he's watched 1,000 times. Well, we've been able to find the finish there. That would have been even better in terms of quality.
Yeah, it's a wonderful bit of play. Again, it was just a nice settling work in midfield from Aidan O'Neill. The ball moved down to the left-hand side. Ball over the top, which asked a fair bit of Jackson Irvine, who managed to stick in that particular contest, find Mitch Duke, who then really came up with some wonderful innovation. Ramirez was strong in Ecuador's goal to deny Australia a third.
Is Hincapi for Ecuador. Estupinian. Ramirez look for the run of Mina over the top, and for the umpteenth time it seems Ecuador are caught offside. That high Australian defensive line. Preciado. Mina. All the way back from Jackson Mendes. Estupinian. Australia quickly back on the front foot. It'll fall here for Jackson Irvine. Goodwin. Duke is down at the moment. It's the focal point gone for Australia. Aidan O'Neill would love a goal on debut. Straight at Ramirez.
Another good, really good opportunity for Australia, and I just think it broke down with Jackson Irvine. Actually, it was in the end a good shot, but Aidan O'Neill's effort straight at Ramirez. He hit it nicely, however. But the opportunity was earlier. I just think Jackson Irvine maybe passed the ball to Craig Goodwin a little early. Needed to commit the defender.
O'Neill looking for that late run into the box of Owen Mobile. It's a fraction too heavy.
That's been a very good bulk of the second half so far from Australia. It took them 8 minutes or so to really get any touch of the ball of any substance, but they had, which is a good reflection on them, being so starved of possession to start the match. Their first few opportunities in possession were really quite fluent, convincing, and they've really tightened up since then. The press through midfield and forward has been excellent. The goals as a reward, and a couple of very impressive opportunities otherwise to boot.
Slipped through the gap by Cifuentes for Preciado, who's bowled over, but I was going to say no foul, but referee ultimately did blow the whistle. Preciado, big involvement in the goal that came Ecuador's way. Plays his club football for Genk in Belgium. So another set piece for Ecuador. This is how their goal arrived, ultimately. Mina to take, good shape to it, and it was Hincapie who got a piece of it, but not enough to get past Ryan. Good steal by Irvine. Not a bad release either. Goodwin quickly onto it. Mobile in position in the middle. It was an awkward one for Ramirez to deal with. I think he got a bit of a helping hand from a defender. Australia still on the front foot. Down goes Bajic. Bundled over by Angel Mina. And it's a free kick for the Socceroos.
A great foot race down the right-hand side to try and get on the end of the Craig Goodwin boss. And Goodwin slices the ball back. Mobile says, I've got a piece here, so does Estupinian, and look at that! Well, there's a degree of difficulty and artistic impression. He'll be at Paris 2024 before he's at the World Cup in 2026. Estupinian, that was an excellent escape, and great pressure put on him by the sheer and blinding speed of Mobile.
Bill and Goodwin discussing who's going to take the free kick. It looks like Goodwin's been ushered away. Here's an area of the field that does favour the right-footed Mobile a bit more. Look at him with pace, maybe having a crack here. Mobile. Low and hard, and Rolls was sniffing for an opportunity. Didn't quite come his way. Ecuador can't clear their lines. Mistake by Cifuentes puts them back under pressure.
Well,
Goodwin, lovely. This is good football by Australia. Irvine across the face, and Duke was attracted to the near post, and there was nobody at the back stick. Now Degenek has missed his challenge. Alvarado chases forward. Caicedo. They'll get the free kick, Ecuador.
well, some quality at the end to get out of trouble, but just before Caicedo's brought down, there were those two area balls in the centre of the field, Simon, and teams who played at the World Cup, two players who are in that tournament, Aziz Bajic and Cifuentes, were two of the worst attempted headers with no pressure seen on an international football match in quite some time. One after the other. Horrible.
Harry Sutter perhaps was a little bit fortunate. He didn't get a yellow card for that rugby challenge. It's given Ecuador this free kick if Bajic gets one for his infringement. Anyway, Estupinian's delivery misses everyone. Jackson Irvine leaping highest, lovely touch by Goodwin. Super football this by the Socceroos. Mobile just couldn't make that final ball for Craig Goodwin, but it was lovely to watch up until that point. Miloš Degenek looking to launch the long throw over the head of Duke, though. Backus got a touch and took a piece out of his opponent, Michael Estrada, as well. Doing well though for St Mirren. Perhaps a bit of a surprise move in the off-season, although he had a bit of overseas interest before that. And he's a regular starter in the Scottish Premier League, along with Ryan Strain, of course, who's also in this Socceroos squad, but not involved tonight. Got a bit of a strain, would you believe? Torres. Mina. Hincapi. Caicedo. With heavy traffic around him. Ecuador not quite able to play their way through, and it's hooked forward by O'Neill, then chested down here by Irvine. Won back by Moises Caicedo. Worked out wide by Mina towards Preciado. Looking for a Stupinian at the back post. As we move into the first of 2 additional minutes. Caicedo trying to get around Bacchus. Oh, can't do it that way, sorry Moises.
Well, up until that, it was pretty impressive making that space, but Bacchus did a great job, I thought. Probably earned a foul, but the ref let it go. Caicedo into the back. Geez, you'd have thought so. Anyway, net result is virtually the same. Exciting player. Caicedo, though, very exciting player.
Final minute of the first half. How would you sum it up, Harps?
Oh, very, very good performance so far, unbalanced by the Socceroos, earned their lead.
Well, they keep it until half-time. Estrada can't do anything with it. Here's Alvarado. Estupinian arriving. And that'll be Matt Ryan's.
Yeah, but a great examination it has been so far, and a great examination it will be in the second half as well. Graham Arnold, as he suggested pre-game, will bring some of the younger guys in, some of the newer players to the group for their taste of it, but it's been an excellent first half and thoroughly enjoyable to watch.
Mina, Preciado. Ecuador going all square. Mina and Cifuentes. Oh, they've just got away from Alvarado. Facing the wrong way. And that is half-time in Parramatta. An entertaining first 45. Jackson Irvine got the first. Hint of offside, of course, about Mitch Duke's involvement. And then after Felix Torres had equalised for Ecuador, Irvine set up our Mobile. And all of that means that Australia go into the break with a slight advantage. But plenty more to come in this one, you'd fancy. Australia 2, Ecuador 1 at the break. And talking of breaks, we're off to one ourselves. On the other side of it, join Tara and the boys to review all the first half action. Don't go away.
Clap twice if you know what the feeling is. We're running for the life that you dreamed as a kid. How to get it bigger. One day be faster and fitter. Someday I'll be known as a winner. Yeah, the future looks bright when I look in the mirror. Said I see ya, I see ya. Ain't nobody that can beat ya.
Well, welcome home, Socceroos. The men in green and gold return to Combank Stadium in Sydney's West to play Ecuador in a two-match series which kicks off tonight. And, well, the Socceroos are in the lead, 2-1. The fans are absolutely loving the action here this evening, getting around their boys in green and gold. A very warm welcome back to two former Socceroos alongside me, Alex Brosk and Archie Thompson. It has been a great homecoming. The fans are loving the action here because, team, the Socceroos are in the lead. It's been a pretty good opening 45 from the home side.
It has. I mean, we started well. There was some good ball movement. I think Ecuador as well started a little bit cagey and allowed us to move the ball a bit more. Craig Goodwin with some great delivery that we know that he shows us every week here in the A-League, and stepped up again with great delivery. And just, again, we spoke about Jackson Irvine and just that presence he has in the box and being in the right area, and a fantastic goal, and got the boys off to a good start.
Yeah, and I think with this one here, Sarmiento out on this left-hand side, you can see he's a Brighton player, plays in the EPL. What a beautiful ball, Broski, the back post. And Torres just seemed to get between two of the defenders, but what a towering header that is. There's not too much that Matty Ryan could do there. I think that really came against play, the run of play.
And then this goal here, a fantastic finish. I mean, we were screaming up there, Archie, for him to square it, but I love that he backed himself, and it was a great finish, great dance to cap it off, and takes the boys into the break. But even again there, the pressure from Jackson Irvine to help out those boys, create the opportunity, and Mobile with a fantastic, confident finish.
Absolute rocket from Mobile as well. Yes, he's got the dance moves, but it's great to see him in this form as well. He wasn't a key part. He didn't start any games during the World Cup campaign. Last started in September last year in their friendly against New Zealand. So fantastic to see him. So looking at what happens in this second half, who will Graham Arnold bring on? Who will be a Subway sub for Arnie?
Well, look, if I look at that team list, I mean, me and Brosk would say we've got to pick out a couple of players, but I could go through the lot. You've got Tilio, Qual, Irukunda, Barello. These are players that can really add a bit of something in that front third, dynamic, and get in behind. Their speed and their directness. Irukunda, that finish that we've seen just with Mobile, we've seen that nearly all year in the A-League. We've got Irukunda, so there's a number of players that can change it, make a difference.
Alex Bross, to you?
Oh, look, I think the young boy, Alexander Robertson, who we're seeing right now, I think given a lot of people don't know him, it'd be great for him to introduce himself to the public here and the Socceroos faithful to see what he can do. But again, Barello, the form that he's been in for the Western Sydney Wanderers this year, you want to see him rewarded with some minutes tonight.
And what's your favourite Subway?
What's my favourite Subway, or do I want to sub on?
Oh, no, Subway.
Oh, Subway. Meatballs or meatballs? You really put me on the spot. We are off to a short break. Do not forget, Network 10 is your home of Australian Grand Prix Formula One action from next Friday.
F1 is all about the need for speed. Wheel-to-wheel action at 330 kilometres an hour.
And it's lights out and away we go.
And it's coming to Network 10. Whoa! We'll bring you all the action from on and off the track as Albert Park hosts the world's best.
Yes, let's go, come on, yes!
It's the Formula One Rolex Australian Grand Prix, live from March 31.
Don't know about you, but I ain't gonna waste my youth.
Welcome back to the Socceroos homecoming game. It is the Socceroos v World number 41 in Ecuador. The fans are out here at Combank Stadium in full force. They'll need to be cheering Ecuador. The visitors on a lot though because they're trailing the game 2-1. Of course, two cracking goals to Jackson Irvine and Awa Mobile lead us into the half-time break. And looking at who's played such a huge part, Jackson Irvine really dominating the press and getting himself on the score sheet, team. He's been immense.
He has been, and we've been watching him from up high and just seeing that what you don't see off the camera. I mean, his organisation, he's constantly talking. We spoke about that leadership that he was going to bring to the young boys in midfield, and he's been doing it, but he's been popping up all over the park, Archie, winning balls, getting into the box and ultimately scoring as well.
Yeah, well, that's what you want from that sort of position and that type of player, and he's been exceptional this half.
He has been absolutely exceptional. It is a two-game series. We are in Melbourne on Tuesday. Kick-off across Network 10 at 7 p.m, but we have a huge second half heading your way. Kick-off is a minute away.
Yeah, just to echo the thoughts there of the panel at half-time, Jackson Irvine, a very, very good first half, a goal and an assist. And of course, he's now one of the most experienced players in the Socceroos squad, 54th cap tonight, moving him level with Zelko Kalats and a certain Archie Thompson as well on the all-time list. As for Ecuador, they're out first. Felix Torres, their goal scorer. Moises Ramirez has been largely the busier of the two goalkeepers on the occasion of just his third cap. They've had to make one change. Jeremy Sarmiento withdrawn. Alexander Alvarado is on screen there, his replacement. And talking of substitutes, I'm pretty sure we will see plenty of them from the Socceroos. If not at the break, then as the second half progresses. As it is, very much looks as though Graham Arnold is going to go with the same starting 11 that has served him pretty well so far. And there is one of the standouts, and he's having such a good season with St. Pauli in the second tier of the Bundesliga. Mitch Duke teeing him up for that first goal, and then Irvine stealing the ball off Estupinian to feed Awa Mobile, who fairly thrashed the ball into the roof of the goal. Pero Hincapi, one of Ecuador's main players, plays in the Bundesliga with Bayer Leverkusen. He was winner against Bayern Munich at the weekend, but finds himself on the losing side as we get the second half back underway. No changes made by either coach at the break, but I'm sure that they will come. And not just for Australia, for Ecuador too. As mentioned, they've got CONMEBOL qualifiers to build up towards in September. And given that they're missing a few of their regular stars, Andy Harper, you'd reckon that Felix Sanchez, as the new coach, would want to have a look at a few of his French players as well.
Yeah, he'll need to be running the rule over people, as will Graham Arnold. I think, you know, that 60-minute mark, the magical moment in the second half when people start expecting some changes, some competitive matches as well. But I think certainly tonight, given the setup here and what Graham Arnold's already said so, at least about Alexander Robertson in the 60th minute. We'll wait and see. Maybe Brandon Borrello as well.
And this is me being selfish, Haas, but I'd just love to see Garan Qual and Nestor Irankunda either side and just give them free rein.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see Jordan Boss.
Yep.
And we'd all like, wouldn't we?
We've all got things that we want, but wanting and getting are two different things. The fans here tonight wanted goals, and they've got them. And maybe more to come. That's a lovely little reverse ball by Jackson Irvine. Really on top of his game. And Preciado under no pressure at the back post. Coolly done.
Yeah, look, the start of the first half and for the first little stanza, the Socceroos were really struggling to get any sort of combination going. Didn't have much of the ball at all, really, in the first instance. But even then, there's no real sign that the combinations, the individuals were ready to unlock Ecuador, but they've really grown. The goals and then the dominance, the great press. Now, it's back end of the first half, the last part of the first half, and start of the second half. So really nice play out of midfield.
Torres for Ecuador. Back through Jackson Mendes. His uncle is the great Edison Mendes, who won 112 caps for Ecuador. Second most cap player of all time. Here he is on the ball. Plays for Sao Paulo in Brazil. Touched by Cifuentes. Mina. This looks promising for Ecuador. Stupinyan's cross just fading away before Cifuentes could get on the end of it. He doesn't need a second invitation to get forward, does he, Pervis Estupinyan?
No, he's been really good to watch. Just on that Mendes, it really interesting career trajectory for him, Simon. It obviously comes from a great family heritage in the game. But he's moved from one MLS club to another MLS club to a top club in Brazil. The traffic's normally going the other way.
Well, you know, Milos Degenek, who plays in the MLS for Columbus Crew, and there were a few eyebrows raised when he signed from Red Star Belgrade, and he said, well, I'm seen as a stepping stone to get back to the bigger leagues of Europe. And a lot of players now believe that it's, you know, of that quality.
Oh, and it's flying. MLS is just flying. I don't think there's any dispute about that. But it does say something that the top Brazilian clubs are bringing players out of the MLS to play for their first team. That hasn't happened yet. He's joined the club, Sao Paulo, but he hasn't yet played. It's a matter of the season getting started, and away they go.
Good run by Preciado down the right-hand side. Let's put Ecuador in a good position here. Moises Caicedo on the ball. Back through Jackson Mendes, who we've just been talking about. Estupinyan brings it down out of the air. And it's Harry Suter at the near post, and Australia survive. Good pressure, though, to win the ball back. Mina. And a touch by Alvarado. Mina forced into a cul-de-sac, and now back with Jose Cifuentes. Another one who plays in the MLS. Lovely ball in behind for Alvarado. Ecuador threatening here. Cifuentes. Quite have enough flight on it to get through for Preciado. Craig Goodwin skips clear, gets the head up and picks out Mitch Duke brilliantly. Hincapie's gone with him. Duke goes for the early cross. And there was nobody really attacking it for Australia.
Yeah, unfortunately, Wilmabille had given up on Mitch Duke. But it was a sensational bit of play by Craig Goodwin. Skipping clear and seeing the space down on the right flank and dropping, again, a beautiful ball with that left foot to Mitch Duke, who managed to get a ball with some promise in towards the Ecuador goal, but Wilmabille had given up the ghost by then, unfortunately.
Torres, Preciado. Kai rolls, sticking tight to Mina. Here's that ball by Craig Goodwin again.
Well, beautiful. You see, he's already seen the opportunity before he's got control and skipped clear, and then a second look to make sure that Mitch Duke's on the same wavelength, and of course he was. A wonderful pass.
10 goals and 9 assists in the A-League with Adelaide United. Craig Goodwin. And virtually a nailed-on first pick for Graham Arnold. Mina works it wide for Preciado. Degenek sees it out. Here's Moises Caicedo. It was too hot to handle for Ryan. Had to push it away. Another promising attack by El Tri. And they're starting to get their better players on the ball, the likes of Caicedo, the likes of Estupinyan, who's just been run out of it there by Degenek. Mitch tracks that one down. O'Neill. I'm impressed by the debut of Aidan O'Neill so far, Ups.
Couldn't be more impressed, Simon. There was one moment in the first half, in one transition, where I thought a forward run direct from him might have been on, but he was very disciplined, presumably to instructions, and checked back in. But it's been outstanding. Aidan O'Neill has not missed a beat. Looks completely at home, I'd say.
Australia get a free kick there for the foul on that Mobile, but prior to that, how about the work from Mitch Duke? He went to ground after a challenge for the ball with Hincapie, I think. Yep. And then still has the wherewithal to hook the ball around the corner for the run of Mobile, who was then subsequently fouled by Jackson Mendes, who had two little bites in there, in fact. A little bit naughty.
He's causing some problems. Mobile got the goal, of course. Under his effort with his right boot. In open play, he's been dangerous. He's moved with great speed, which is very threatening. Very, very threatening when he gets going.
He's on free kick duty here, or is he? No, it's Goodwin. Yeah. Not one of his better ones.
Oh, that was a $3 note right there from Craig Goodwin. Might have got a little bit confused with the whole free kick routine on that one. It certainly looked like it.
Aidan O'Neill trying to get Australia moving back forward again, but Mitch Duke coming back from an offside position. Works so hard, doesn't he, Mitch Duke? Leading the line, you know what you're going to get with him. 100% effort, commitment. Turned back by Suta. Ryan for Bajic. Behind them is Rolls. He signed a new extended deal with his Scottish Premier League club, Heart of Midlothian. One of 4 Hearts players in the squad. Cammy Devlin, Nathaniel Atkinson and Grant Quall, who's on loan from Newcastle, of course, being the other 3. Hincapie. Good work again by O'Neill, but the loose ball favoured Michael Estrada. Pushed out wide by Cifuentes. This is Angel Mira. Estupinian. Moises Caicedo. And Australia got back in numbers well. Big defensive block to try and play through. Both sets of substitutes starting to go through their warming up exercises with a little bit more vigour. There's the Australian substitutes. Connor Metcalf just gone through screen. Brandon Borrello as well. Centre screen there is Alex Robertson. There's Duke meantime. Oh, that's beautiful by Goodwin. It's Irvine. And the flag is up. Wouldn't have counted. And Jackson Irvine again. He's got into so many good positions tonight.
It was a great interchange. Mitch Duke again being difficult. And then clever. Oh, geez. Well, that's a penalty. It's going to be a penalty because VAR on that penalty incident
Well, you know, I actually think it's Craig Goodwin coming back from an offside position in the previous phase of play.
Very possibly, Simon. You might have picked that one. I wasn't looking.
Well, that's my only thought on the matter, because I don't think he was there.
Well, Jackson wasn't offside.
No. And that's probably what the linesman flagged for, without the assistance of VAR tonight. Turned in field by Mina. Forward by Caicedo. Preciado. It's been a willing runner down this flank for them this evening. The cross comes in, but Alvarado is one of the smallest players on the pitch. Estupinian wins the ball back momentarily from Mobile, and Ecuador still have it, and they will get a corner off Aidan O'Neill.
Down to cover up at right fullback.
The Ecuador fans behind the goal, cheering on their team. The runners make their move. Suta, who else underneath it? Back in by Stupinian. Here's Michael Estrada. And they'll get another go from the corner arc.
Estrada in a rare moment, not straying offside and winning the corner.
Well, he's out of favour with his club side, Cruz Azul, where he's on loan from Toluca. Well, he's been linked with a move to Belgium and Anderlecht next season. Going to be Angel Mina with the corner and Matt Ryan with the fist away. They will reload through Jackson Mendes. Estupinian. Alvarado. Moises Caicedo. Coming across was Deganek. Estupinian trying to protect the ball behind for a corner. A good little bit of pressure this from Ecuador, and Australia have got a little bit of an injury concern.
Yeah, Milos Deganek down.
Just fell heavily, I think. So he comes down. It's not the stuffing out of him for a moment or two.
Yeah, I think he might have got an elbow in the midriff accidentally there.
Joining Mark Viduka and the late great Johnny Warren on 43 international caps tonight, Milos Deganek. Matty Ryan, incidentally, level with Mark Milligan and Luke Wilkshire. Joint 9th place on the all-time list with 80 caps this evening. Deganek still struggling a bit. Changes afoot. Brandon Borrello and Alexander Robertson standing by. The latter for his international debut before he's made a senior appearance for his club side, Manchester City. Well, he has played some senior football in Scotland on loan with Ross County, and about to become, would you believe, a third-generation Socceroo. More on that in a moment. Angel Mina, meantime, for El Tri, Ecuador. Preciado sidestepping the attentions of Duke. And sliced out of play by Ramirez. Here is that change for Australia, double change. We're going to see the introduction of Brandon Borrello at the stadium. Well, that he's almost made his own over the last few months. One current Western Sydney Wanderer comes on, and two former Western Sydney Wanderers players come off. Mitch Duke and Keanu Bacchus. And this young man has a very bright future indeed. Alexander Robertson, 19 years of age. His grandfather Alec played for Australia in the mid-1980s. His father, Mark, in 2001. He was eligible for England, for whom he played for the junior national team, Scotland and for Peru through his mother. Graham Arnold, it seems, has won the day. At least for now, of course, because friendly internationals don't count in terms of where your allegiances lie. But it's a good sign that he's out playing for the Socceroos Harps, and what a story, that family.
Yeah, great football family. They've bided their time over this decision, plotted the career to date meticulously. He's worked incredibly hard. He seems to be in a great place and doing excellent things at one of the world's biggest teams at the moment. And I'm really looking forward to watching him play.
It's sort of part of the international game now, isn't it, that you go searching for those players who might be eligible for other countries, some with Aussie accents, some not. Harry Sutar is one of those. Martin Boyle another. Jason Cummings a third. Alex Robertson's got a bit more of a neutral accent than that, but certainly eligible for more than one country. Let's go down to Neve Owens again.
You mentioned Luke Wilkshire there a moment ago, gents. He's stepped Alexander Robertson through his paces. They've had a really good chat before he's entered the fray. Graham Arnold went over, shook his hand, and his dad, Mark, his family have flown over from the UK, so they are here to witness that debut today. His dad's obviously played a huge part in his career. They made the move back to the UK when Alexander Robertson got an offer from Manchester United. He's with Manchester City now, as you guys have mentioned, but the family here in the stands to celebrate that third generation Socceroo today.
He chose the right side, let's be honest.
Australia.
You know what I meant. Here's Jackson Mendes. Torres. And Sutar almost got caught the wrong side there for a moment, but managed to readjust. Strongly done by Aidan O'Neill. He almost managed to slip it through. Felix Torres ensuring he didn't.
Well, the entry of Alex Robertson has seen a slight withdrawal of Jackson Irvine from his advanced attacking midfield position, or more advanced where he has been doing a fantastic job. Jackson Irvine, a very cerebral player is Jackson. And he'll have to just make those readjustments now as he sits a bit deeper in the formation, as Robertson, the debutant, gets to hopefully command that position just in front of the midfield and off Brandon Barello, the centre forward for Australia. And fantastic transition, speaking of, for Brandon Barello, who until in more recent weeks most people were considering Brandon Barello as a winger. And he's made the shift to the centre of the attack for the Wanderers, just outstandingly so.
Yeah, I think it's taken everybody by surprise, that. This took Preciado a little bit by surprise, the fact that he came off the worst in that aerial duel with Alexander Robertson. Awkward fall for the fullback. That's why he's remained on the turf. And he's worked hard tonight, hasn't he? Angelo Preciado up and down that right-hand side. Felix Sanchez perhaps pondering a change or two. You mentioned that story about Byron Castillo in the first half. He's been the main beneficiary of the fact that Castillo has not played for Ecuador since that row blew up. And I dare say, given the sensitivities around that in South America, it may well be Castillo's international involvement with Ecuador done and dusted. So double change for Ecuador. Javier Arriaga. There's one. Actually, well, I thought it was going to be a double change. They want to make a triple change, and the fourth officials walked away after they made one and said, right, you're done. He's been hastily called back. Mina, the captain, is the second player to be withdrawn. We're going to see the reintroduction of Junior Sornosa, the number 10, and the third player there on screen is Kevin Rodriguez, who replaces Michael Estrada at the point of the Ecuadorian attack. There is Junior Sornosa wearing the number 10. He is generally regarded as one of the better creative midfielders in Ecuador, but was somewhat sidelined by the previous coach, Gustavo Alfaro, and left out of the World Cup squad. But recalled by Felix Sanchez for his first game in charge. Alvarado, low centre of gravity and good feet. Worked out wide by Caicedo. Estupinian is after it, so too is a very determined Miloš Degenek. Good tackle. Cifuentes drifting into the box, helped on by Kevin Rodriguez. Bajic has to deal with this and hasn't done so yet. Alvarado switched out to the right-hand side after the departure of Mina. Hincapié. Estupinian getting going down that left-hand side. Sornosa. Estupinian, who's taken over the captain's armband now that Angel Mina has been replaced. Jackson Mendes. And Torres. Followed by Arriaga. Urban trying to link up with Robertson. Australia just struggling to get on the ball at the moment. Kevin Rodriguez after that, but Matt Ryan's all evening that. Into the final 20, and those possession stats have blown out in favour of Ecuador, but scoreline that really matters, Andy Harper, is for Graham Arnold's team.
Yeah, it's been a good game, good performance. Ecuador have had some good moments, and there'll be plenty more to come in the 20 minutes that remains in this game, plus stoppages. But the Socceroos have defended well. They've been very compact. Their press has been very impressive tonight. Matt Ryan has had to make a couple of saves. And it's not been a barrage. The number of completed passes and the percentage dominance of possession hasn't laid siege on the Socceroos goal.
Here come Ecuador again. Sornosa, Cifuentes. No foul by O'Neill, even though Cifuentes went to ground. Hincapié now joining in with the attack. Fed by Estupinian. Sliding challenge from Brandon Borrello, almost in the right fullback position, which shows you just how much defending Australia are having to do here. This little spell for El Tri. Estupinian came back heavy off Kevin Rodriguez, who went to the World Cup for Ecuador on the back of a season playing in the second division back in his home country. He's now in the top two with Independiente del Valle. This is an important period for Australia to keep their shape and their focus, and crucially their lead.
Yeah, and you know, as they're up against a very, very good possession-based team, and certainly with Sanchez, that's going to be more of their method. The Socceroos would like to have a larger slice of the ball, be under a little less pressure.
That looks as though it was a high fault by Caicedo. Referee agrees. Aidan O'Neill right in the thick of it on debut. Moises Ramirez being given the hurry along by our Mobile. The third goal would just ease the nerves a little bit. Craig Goodwin has been involved in one of the goals tonight, starting things off with a wonderful free kick. It found Mitch Duke and ultimately Jackson Irvine. Let's see if he can do the same thing again. Nice shape to it. Sutar arriving in the back post. Poured away off the line by Moises Ramirez to deny Kai Rolls, I fancy. And the game remains in the balance. Here's Alvarado. Delivery from Goodwin almost reaped its reward again. Harry Sutar meeting the ball at the back post. So those are trying to open himself up, but not on the same page as Cifuentes. This is Pervis Estupiñán. Back through Hincapi. Cifuentes for Mendes. Torres. Arriaga. Rodriguez trying to muscle his way past Harry Sutar to chase after that ball. Again, not an easy prospect. Moises Caicedo trying to be a bit too clever. Robertson nipped it. This is Mobile. Well, he was wriggling this way and that way, our Mobile, and in the end, Estupiñán had little option but to bring him down.
Enjoying himself tonight. Owen Mobile was on the end of this one too. A near thing, the ball in from Goodwin. Unbeatable on the back post is Harry Sutar, and there was Mobile just beaten to it by the paw of Moises Ramirez. Australia that close to a 3-1 lead.
Quarter of an hour to go. Australia are readying two more changes. I see Marco Tilio and Garang Kuol presently. Not just yet. Got another Craig Goodwin free kick delivery to look forward to before that. Sutar on the move. Headed away by Hincapi. Well, one back by Mobile. He had to make that, you know, because there was open field in behind him for Ecuador to look to try and exploit. Alvarado has been busy off the bench, having to replace Jeremy Sarmiento early on. There's the two Australian changes, next changes. Borrello. Goodwin couldn't quite sit for him. Arriaga nipped in. Sutar. Oh, it's a bit loose from Jackson Irvine, and Cifuentes saw that Matt Ryan was a fair way off his line and thought, well, blow it, I'm going to have a go. That could have been disastrous for Australia.
Yeah, rare lapse in concentration from Jackson Irvine. Cifuentes looked to pounce early, but that line was never in trouble.
So here are the changes for Australia. Craig Goodwin takes his leave. Another really good performance by Adelaide United's talisman. And Al Mobile will be replaced as well. Here's his goal from earlier, which at the moment Hart shapes as the match winner.
Yeah, fantastic moment for him. He's finding it tough in Czechia at the moment. Lack of regular game time, but returns to the Socceroos fold. He's been buzzing in camp. Great to be home. It's great to have you back home, Awia. And it was a great goal to separate the teams, and in comes Garang Kuol and Marco Tilio, two thoroughly exciting young Aussie footballers.
Well, great to have Garang Kuol back home, even though he's only been gone a couple of months. And great to see Marco Tilio as well, because if you believe the press reports over the last week, he's saying he's ready to try and chance his arm overseas as well. Whether that will eventuate, we'll have to wait and see. At the moment, he's a Melbourne City player. Here's Cifuentes. Torres. Javier Arriaga for Alvarado. He almost invited the referee to blow the whistle there, but there was a bit of contact on Aziz's page.
A little bit. I think Aziz was a bit stiff there, actually, to be honest. He didn't do a lot wrong, if anything, really. But an innocuous part of the field on balance. And the Socceroos back in their shape and defending well. They've done that well tonight. They've enjoyed, I'm sure, 78 minutes in, a little bit more ball.
Can Ecuador fashion a chance here? Cifuentes works it wide. Sornosa tried something, and Matt Ryan called into action to pour the ball over the top of the bar. Ecuador will not give this one up without a fight.
It was excellent reaction from Matt Ryan. Was twice. It was a save earlier, beaten away as you called it as it happened, Simon, which came off a deflection. So his reflexes were sharp then. They were sharp again when Australia needed it now. They're really putting a good case forward, Ecuador. Stretching Australia, punching, probing.
The corner's headed clear by Rolls. Estupinian. With Tilio snapping away at his heels. Moises Caicedo. Clipped in by Sornosa. And Arriaga just catching Robertson there, which will relieve the pressure on the Socceroos, which have just built for a minute or two. Ecuador, very resilient sides. Their record in 2022 under their previous coach, of course, not Felix Sanchez, Gustavo Alvaro. They lost just 2 of their 12 matches in the last calendar year. Won only 3 of them, mind. 7 were draws. They've got 10 minutes to try and turn it around, plus stoppages. Bajic needs a bit of movement. Gets in from Robertson. Ecuador throw. Graham Arnold still pacing the technical zone. It might be a friendly, but they still want to win. And of course, he will have just that one eye on that Asian Cup that's not too far away now, Harps. Big tournament that Australia have got a big chance to win, potentially.
Well, there'd be big expectation that they do, given the starting point. And it is going to be the most pressurised part of this World Cup cycle, Simon, because of the increased number of teams to qualify for the World Cup, including out of Asia.
Worked wide by Borrello, Marco Tilio, and Borrello, and shut down effectively in the end by Piero Hincapié.
Clever from Tilio. Nice run off the ball for Brandon Borrello, was seen away nicely by Hincapié. What a good incursion from Australia, who just the risk of sounding very repetitive, haven't had a lot of the ball tonight, but they've looked pretty tidy on most of the occasions when they have had it.
Tilio's taken over from Craig Goodwin on set-piece duty. Suto is still in there loitering. It's over his head. And Cifuentes to clear up towards halfway. Robertson. Tidy work. O'Neill. Bajic has galloped forward in support of this attack, and he's found here by Brandon Borrello. It's Aziz Bajic, surely it is! Garang Kuol, Ecuador appeal for offside, but there is no flag. And Aziz Bajic's burst out of defence helped make that goal. And Garang Kuol is on the score sheet. His first goal for his country. And Australia have a 2-goal cushion.
Well, an excellent attack that starts deep in Australia's half in the midfield part of this. Great work from young Robertson on debut. Lovely run from Bajic, well fed by Borrello. And we think back to the Argentina round of 16 match. This too would have been tight. But anyway, let's enjoy it for what it is. Those closing moments of Australia v Argentina in the round of 16. We'll never forget the fantastic run of Aziz Bajic. Couldn't come up trumps then. Garang Kuol with the last Aussie kick of the game, saved by Argentina to get them through to the quarterfinals. And now the two have combined to give Australia a 2-goal lead here. It's great to see Garang Kuol score a goal with a smile on his face, and fantastic reward for Aziz Bajic, the toiler down the left, who makes the 3rd goal for Australia.
Well, there might have been more than a hint of offside about that goal as well, but let's hope it's the first of many at international level for Garang Kuol. A really exciting talent, and he's just become the Socceroos' 4th youngest ever goal scorer. The only 3 ahead of him, Duncan Cummings, Paul Kay and Ian Johnston. 18 years of age and 189 days. He could still be eclipsed, of course, tonight if Nestor Irankunda comes off the bench. However, the game looking a little safer now than it did a couple of minutes ago. And this is just another reason why I don't want VAR, Hobbs. What have Ecuador got left? Arriaga. Too high for Sornosa. Falls for Estupinian. This is Moises Caicedo. Squared up by Hincapié for Jackson Mendes. Now Torres. That's a nice turn that by Cifuentes, and he was caught by Irvine.
That's beautiful too. Australia with the lead. They've looked good in transition. Their attack has been good. Defending's been strong, even if that one overstepped the mark slightly. Not the best of starts, despite the offside calls for a couple of the goals for Felix Sanchez in the dugout for Ecuador.
Nancy Ryan organising a wall of 4. which Ali Sutar is obviously quite prominent. Good luck getting the ball up and down over his head from a free kick from this range. But they're going to give it a go. It is Estupinian, and he managed to get it through the wall, but not past Matty Ryan.
Well, he's just looked excellent tonight, Matt Ryan. The bits he's had to do. Very comfortable there in a particularly straightforward situation. The ball curling and bouncing, but he was very comfortable.
Loose ball picked up by O'Neill. Tilio. Just on Garang Kuol half, so that goal, you'd imagine, as scruffy as it was, he'll do his confidence a world of good. He's had a little bit of a tough time at Hearts, hasn't he? And Graham Arnold has spoken this week about putting an arm around him, bringing him back into familiar territory and showing him that he's loved and worked and valued in the national team setup. Little things like that can help.
Tonic. Yeah, great tonic, there's no question. But you know, the movement from the home club, domestic league, into Europe is not an easy transition. You wouldn't find many players come out of Australia who make that move and say it was a walk in the park. But great for him to be home and be in that environment, get the goal.
Another change for Australia, and it's the end of the section for Jackson Irvine, who has one or two little mistakes over the last few minutes, but prior to that was exemplary. Goal and an assist tonight.
Yeah, he's in a great period in his career. Club football's going well. The national team has emerged as a real leader through the last campaign into the World Cup, and now tonight just plays with great poise. Fantastic energy, of course, too. A very, very clever player. Jackson Irvine, replaced by some Pauli teammate, Connor Metcalf.
Yeah, an Overcastrian, formerly with Melbourne City. Sutar threading the ball through. Barello, brave by the keeper. Tilio, surely for Australia. Is there going to be a penalty there? No. A dive, says the referee, by Robertson, who then shows his anger with Jackson Mendes, and this could all end rather unnecessarily because the game is all but won for Australia. But Robertson went down inside the box, was convinced that he'd won a penalty for his team, and then a little flashpoint, maybe something said by Jackson Mendes, I don't know.
Well, great start. I don't know that it's a dive completely. Mendes thinks so. It's the little cuff across the forehead, which was...
That's what he doesn't like.
The very provocative moment.
It's a patronising pat on the head that would rile a lot of footballers. Probably a good job that it's a friendly. Cards have stayed in the pocket. And we're into the first of 5 minutes of injury time. Could all get a free kick. There's a little bit of rancour out there just to finish things off.
Interesting, the ref on that penalty, no penalty call on Alexander Robertson. If he did call simulation, there was no yellow card to follow that I picked up. That's a good old Cumberland throw. Miloš Degenek.
So a free kick for Australia to defend. Junior Swordnoser to deliver. They score here could be interesting. And Matt Ryan down low. Flag is up near side for offside in any case. 2 decent stops tonight from the most experienced player in the Australian team. It's Arriaga who goes a bit too early. The near post for Ecuador. And perhaps those saves that he's made tonight indicative of the confidence that he's now feeling, getting regular game time in Holland with AZ Alkmaar. He's had a couple of difficult years, Matty Ryan, hasn't he, trying to find a club where he can play regularly. Seems to have sorted that out by the move to the Netherlands. Caicedo. Torres. He briefly had Ecuador back on level terms. Rodriguez inside the box. Wouldn't stick for him. And Borrello nipping in ahead of Arriaga. Pushed out wide by Metcalf. Bajic. So with just a couple of minutes to go, Harps, your thoughts overall tonight and perhaps who's stood out?
Well, there's been no poor players for Australia. Aidan O'Neill's debut has just been seamless, been just fantastic. In what's been a great win, or what will probably be a great win for Australia, 3-1, and a really entertaining game, some wonderful football played by both.
Could be more goals for Australia here. It's Brandon Borrello. Not quite on what is his patch of dirt. And this would have been a popular goal.
Yes, sure would have. And deserving too after the A-League season he's had as a centre forward. Quite a positional transition he's made. Outstanding story that. And enough to have been excited about this game to expect a wonderful turnout in Melbourne on Tuesday for the second half of the series. Been a great game. What a superb way to celebrate this national team of ours on their return after the World Cup in 2022 in Qatar. And a great performance against a good team. So many encouraging pointers forward on the basis of this 90 minutes.
Tilio to try and bring the ball clear. In the dying embers of what's been a very entertaining game. Borrello is offside. Arriaga. Cifuentes. Sornosa's touch for Jackson Mendes. Hincapié, maybe the last attack for Ecuador. Estupiñán. Well defended. Still not quite away for Australia. Rodriguez. Harry Suter trying to resolve the problems. We're into the 6th added minute. Alvarado. And referee Kim Dae-jung says that will do. And the cheers go up around the stadium in Parramatta. Garang Kuol with his first goal for his country, sealing matters after Australia had a rather nervy 10 or 15 minutes. They started pretty poorly as well, the opening 5 or 10, but got the opening goal thanks to Jackson Irvine from a Craig Goodwin free kick. Mitch Duke might have been offside, but no VAR tonight. Irvine scored, and then after Felix Torres had squared the ledger from Jeremy Sarmiento's cross on 23 minutes, Jackson Irvine pounced again to steal the ball away from Piero Hincapié and feed our Mabil to make it 2-1. Just the one goal in the second half, as is Bajic with a strong run forward. And Garang Kuol with a tap in. Again, a hint of offside, but Australia will not care. The welcome home party is off to a flyer. The Socceroos accounted for Ecuador in game 1 of this mini-series to continue that World Cup feel-good factor. Australia 3, Ecuador 1, the full-time score. Let's go down to Neve Owens, who I think is with big Harry Souttar. Neve.
Sure am, Simon. Harry Souttar has been good enough to join us. Congrats on the win, Harry. It felt from the sideline like the perfect start to the welcome home tour. How did you find it?
Yeah, no, listen, I'm just really so pleased for the boys. You've seen some of the young boys come play tonight. I thought they were unbelievable. Aidan O'Neill making his debut. They're not going to get many better debuts than that. Robbo coming on, Garang. So yeah, the future is really bright for us.
You put your arm around Robbo there at the end when there was a little bit of a blow-up. What did you say to him? What was your message in that moment?
I just said I love it from him. Well, he's got that. He's still young, 18, 19. You seen he came on, he's got that bit of bite. And we love that. That's what we're all about. And yeah, I thought it was a penalty, to be honest with you. So, no, just really pleased for him and all the boys, yeah.
Every time you got your head on the ball, the crowd went up. What was it like for you to play back here on Aussie soil?
Yeah, honestly, it was so great. Obviously, the last time I was in Australia, the last time here, I done my ACL about 10 yards away. So, just so pleased to kind of get through the game. And yeah, the win made it extra special.
So good to put those memories behind you. Congrats on the win. Good luck on Tuesday.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Harry Souttar joining us, and the man that Harry mentioned there, Aidan O'Neill, joining us as well. Aidan, congratulations on what was a seamless debut. How did you find it?
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, it's hard to put into words. My family are here from Brisbane and my sister and everything. So, yeah, tonight was just unbelievable. And to get a result like that, I thought we were really disciplined. And, yeah, I thought we played really well.
When you knew you were starting, when you knew your family were going to be here, what did that mean to you?
It was funny, actually. I wanted to give my dad a bit of a surprise and my mum as well. So I actually didn't tell them that I was starting. I told my sister and she kept that as a little secret. But I'm sure once they got here and realised that I was starting, they would have been over the moon.
International football, easy as, right?
Yeah, well, I think I just really enjoyed myself out there. I said during the league and the games, I've just been enjoying my football. And tonight I just really enjoyed that and felt like that I belonged out there.
We enjoyed watching it. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
It was a seamless introduction for Aidan O'Neill into the green and gold tonight, making his debut. And what a comprehensive win, you've got to say, Archie Thompson and Alex Brosk overall against Ecuador. A really promising match and a really promising result.
It was very exciting to see the youngsters and players come off the bench as well and not be fazed by the occasion, come in and have a real impact. I thought it was great. It was as exciting, I mean, outside of the World Cup and what they did there, as excited as I've been for a Socceroos side in a long time. Coming home with all this pressure, I mean, it was a celebration, but they had to perform. And they did against, you know, a top 4 or 5 South American nation. I thought I was very impressed with what I saw tonight.
And also, too, when you saw that interview with Souttar, when he was talking about Robbo coming on, we saw at that end there when that might have been a penalty. I like that bit of mentality. Get up and if someone's in your face, not get overawed by the occasion. He's obviously at a massive club in Melbourne, I mean, Manchester City, but you want to come out here, sort of stamp your mark on what potentially could be a great career with the Socceroos.
A little bit of Aussie DNA in Robbo, as you've already named him, Archie Thompson.
Yeah, Robbo.
Didn't mind it though, right? So Harry Souttar stepped